Hello there, everybody. It's me, Chase, and I'm here to make hopefully a fairly quick video about uh, Christians and depression. Um, I want to. This is a subject that I'm sensitive towards as somebody who does, you know, have depressive issues. I don't like telling people that. I hate. I always hesitate to tell people that. I don't really care to just don't care to tell people that about myself. But I do care about other Christians. I need to take a shower. I'm sorry. I got to take a shower here in a second. But before I did that, I just wanted to do this real quick. But I do care about others, especially who do have depression, who suffer from it, because I can relate. I completely relate to it. And so I wanted to share some things that have helped me. One thing in particular, most of the Christians I know who have issues with depression, I know over Facebook. I have never met you personally, so that's pretty much it. I would love to meet. I would absolutely I think it'd be awesome to meet and just sit and chat and stuff like that. But right now, realistically, it may not be so, at least for right now. And so I, I want to encourage you guys, and I hope you watch this. Of all my videos, if there's one thing you watch, I hope you really watch this one. I would want to encourage you guys to pray. Pray that the Lord puts somebody in your life that you can talk to. Because what I've learned, and again, I can speak from personal experience here, what I've learned is and you see, I think a lot of the reasons why, at least, especially for me, like I don't talk much about mine, is because most people think when you do that, you're just seeking attention. You just want people to make you feel good about yourself. Now, I'll have you know that it is a verifiable fact that if you just start telling me, Chase, you're awesome, you're great, if that's all you're telling me, I'm just kind of like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me, because I know what the Bible says about me, and so it doesn't really help. For Christians, we who suffer this kind of thing, we need Scripture, man. I mean, we need to hear what God has to say. And a lot of times, depression hinders that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of Christians don't understand the issue. They think that as a Christian it means that you're just gonna sail through, your problems, but as John Calvin likes to call it, the darts of the enemy can be incredibly potent, and annoying, and they can definitely hinder a Christian and their ability to see Christ, and what they need is other Christians who are encouraging them, and that kind of thing. So, what I, but other than that, what we need, what they need, as I've learned, is they don't really need somebody who's going to sit there and just tell them, God has a wonderful plan for your life, and He wants to do this with you, and he just doesn't want you to be like this, or so when you're doing those kinds of things, what are you doing? You're talking, and you're talking, and you're talking, and I think a lot of people do that, and I don't think they do that with malice in their heart. I think you do that because you genuinely want to help this person. You want them to be uplifted in their spirit. But I think you're also kind of scared, and there's a little bit of a panic in you, and you think, I gotta get this person, feeling good and high and mighty about themselves. So I gotta do something. I gotta do something. And as good as an intention that is, that's the problem. Is you're thinking, I gotta do this. I gotta lift them up. I gotta do it. You may say, God's gonna do it, but the more and more you're talking, the more you're kind of proving the contrary. That doesn't mean that you don't offer any advice or anything like that to them, but what a lot of them really, 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 really need is somebody who's going to listen to them, somebody who they can talk to, and they don't have they trust. Someone that they trust will keep all, whatever they say, confidential between you and them. They need somebody who's going to listen to them. Because a lot of times they just have so much on their mind and they don't have anybody to express it to. And it's not to say that, they don't have God or anything like that. They do. And praying to God, but I think there are times, I really do think there are times where you have to get that out of your head and just off your chest, and to be able to say it to somebody. Look, this is my, I just want to be honest with you here. I'm struggling with something, and to know that they have somebody who's going to listen to them. It's not going to sit there and judge them or anything like that. They might sometimes you might say something that may be wrong. May be misplaced, but somebody who's going to first of all listen to them. And I think that's what they need more than anything. They need somebody who's going to listen. And we can be that person for those people. Listening is, sometimes just we think helping somebody in depression. I'm trying to make sure I say this right. Helping somebody with depression it can be hard. It can be very complicated, but it can also be, in a certain sense, very simple. I mean, there's a simple answer to it. And that's just, you listen to them. Let them speak. And you listen to them. And I tell you, man, for me, just being able to get some of the thoughts out that I struggle with, it's a huge help. Because I'm just burying those thoughts. And there's nowhere for them to rest. I got to get them out. I got to kind of exercise them, in a sense. And that's really what it is. It's kind of like when you don't move a lot, and then your muscles start to cramp up. You're just not moving them. You're not doing anything with it. And then when you finally start to exercise, and you start to stretch, it hurts, right? It kind of hurts a lot. It's just like, once you finally do it, once you do that stretch, you're just like, wow, this is awesome. Feels so good. It's kind of like that. And that's what they really, really need. Now, to the person who is struggling with depression, you feel like there's no way out. You don't feel like there's anywhere for you to go. And I understand that feeling. I get the feeling. I completely get it. I've had that feeling. I still have that feeling sometimes. It's like I don't know where to go. But I would, and I have friends on Facebook. Like I said, I have friends on Facebook who have expressed that they don't have anybody to talk to about these things other than me and a couple others who they only know on Facebook. And as much as I sympathize with that, I'm like, that's not right. You should have somebody you can talk to personally. Because over Facebook, there's only so much that I can do. Even with this video right here, there's only so much that I can do for you. I can't. That's why I always say. I mean, I wish for some of the guys that I know, I wish we could just meet. Because this would be so much better if we meet. Because I've had those personal conversations, so I know that I know that I absolutely would far more rather talk to them in person. Over the internet, it's only so much. God made us to be personal creatures, to have personal interactions with one another. Those make all the difference. It's one thing to express what's on your mind over Messenger. It's a completely different and better experience when you're doing it in person. To be able to just one-to-one with somebody. And not always one-to-one. Sometimes you can be in a group of folks. But that personal interaction is very, very important. It's also very important, I should note this, that we also recognize the difference between male and female. Um, like I said, I sympathize with people who struggle with depression. Now, if, because I'm a guy, as you can see, um, uh, while I as a guy sympathize with everybody, male or female, who go through depression, I don't put myself in a situation where I sit down one on one with a female. That's a really bad idea. I would try my best. I would say I'll see if I can find somebody, another young lady, for you to talk to, because that's not a good idea. Can't do that. I've made it a personal rule, and I've learned this the hard way. I've made it a personal rule to never ever engage someone of the opposite sex, who's going through, who's confused, who's going through depression, things like that. To not ever do that. So I want to be one on one with fellow brothers, and we can talk and these kinds of things. And that's what I do too. I have somebody here in San Antonio that I talk to about these things. And I would just encourage you to find somebody. If you're a woman, find another woman who you can trust with these kinds of things. And for guys, find a guy who you can trust with these kinds of things. And you might be sitting there thinking, but I don't have anybody. I don't have any. I used to think that too. I used to think that I didn't have anybody. But then I realized, I'm an introvert. And being an introvert means I'm not exactly privy to search for people. And so they're probably there. I just don't know how to look for them. And that's understandable. I get that. The folks that I've come across, I kind of just came across unintentionally. But I'm glad they're in my life. But I would encourage you to whatever you can, somebody in your church. You don't have to be in terms of theology and doctrine. You don't have to be right on center or anything like that. Somebody who just has that spirit of care, who's interested in you, and also somebody who, I think there's again, you have to be careful, because I think there are people who care, but don't know exactly how to deal with depression, because maybe they've just never been in that situation before. I don't know, because I've met people like that. I've met people who I've, when even in my own church, I've met people who I would kind of like open up a little bit. I'm kind of, me being an introvert, we kind of feel our way around folks before we let them in. Most of us anyway. I know I do. I'm a very cautious person, and when I start to feel around a little bit, and then they get to know them a little bit, and then that's when they go. I tell them something that's, again, kind of at the surface level, and they respond by basically saying, things like, well, you just gotta, and just, it's very, I don't want to be mean, to them, because again, I think they do care, but again, it's more of them just saying things and saying things and saying things, when what folks who deal with depression most likely need is they just want somebody to talk to, somebody who's going to listen to what they have to say, who have buried something down and just don't have anybody to express it to. They just want somebody to listen. And it's not easy these days to find somebody who will listen. I have people in my own family who I talk to my mom a lot about a lot of these things, but outside of that too is I realize not everybody has that. You should be in a church with people who really care and they want to listen to you. I can almost guarantee you, I'm confident that if you just do that, if you just find that one person who you can talk to personally, even and also even maybe in evangelism labor with, but talk to personally about these things. Um, I think that would work wonders. It'd just be really, really, really good. It's not gonna obviously it's not gonna solve all your problems, but it's always good. Again, it's always good to get it out, not let it just cramp up inside. That's what really is eating away. Um, and sometimes we also have to recognize, my fellow depressed believers. Again, we also, going back to kind of like the thing where we say, well, I don't have anybody. I really believe a lot of that, it could be true. It could be that there is genuinely not, I don't know anybody here. That could be. I don't think that's most of the time. I think most of the time where we don't have anybody, it's because we're not really looking for anybody. Um, and we just have to sort of confront that. Now, I don't know you personally, so I can't tell you that. I can only ask and hope that you do that yourself. Um, but I would just I would encourage you to kind of do some inward reflection, and ask yourself if is the reason that I don't really have anybody, is it really because there really isn't anybody here, or is it because I don't really look for that person? Um, and I've done that for myself too, and I've had to realize that it kind of is. I don't really put myself out there at all. I kind of just close everybody off, even fellow believers. Don't trust them too much. I love them, talk to them, but a lot of times, how often? Think about it, and be honest. How often do you have people in your church ask you, "Hey, how are you doing?" And all you do is, "I'm doing fine. I'm doing pretty good." I do that all the time. I do it all the time, and I'm like, I'm not fine. I'm not okay. I just, you really just don't want to make somebody's day blue by suddenly just pouring out your problems on them. And that's something to sympathize with, but it can also be dangerous too. I have to recognize that too. I have to be willing, and so just like me, I would encourage you that sometimes one of the hurdles in overcoming our depression is ourselves and our unwillingness to open up with people. But I do believe, I really do believe, that if you look long and hard enough, it's just difficult for me to believe that God would leave one of his sheep without somebody, would just leave him there abandoned. It's difficult for me to believe that there's somebody there that you can get a hold of. And again, maybe you've never met that person yet. You just got to kind of look for him a little bit. But there's somebody there. There should be somebody there. If there's nobody there, then that would just mean the church isn't there. I would think that's the only conclusion. The church isn't there, and that obviously is not true. There's got to be somebody. So, anyways, I wanted to just make this little thing here. I hope it's useful, helpful. Just remember, for people who want to help others with depression, realize that this doesn't mean that they're attention seekers, that they're on the verge of blowing their own brains out. That's not what that means. A lot of times they don't know what to do. They're just it's kind of like just bouncing back and forth in a room looking for an exit, can't find one, just constantly bouncing off the walls in a certain sense, just trapped. You go over here and there's nothing there. You go over there, there's nothing there. Just you're looking for some way out, and you just can't. It seems like there's no way out. And so they feel trapped, and so I would ask you to sympathize with that. And in feeling trapped, just don't be the listener. Let them talk. Be the listener. And I trust that if you just let them talk, God will always bring to your mind, the things you need to say to them. Um, I really, really, absolutely believe that. I follow that principle literally with pretty much everything. Whoever I'm talking to, whether I'm talking to just a coworker, if I'm talking to a fellow believer, or if I'm in evangelism, if I'm out there talking to Mormons, I'm just letting them talk and just go and go and go, and then I just let the Lord bring to my mind whatever He wants me to say, and that's it. Um, I try to put myself in a reactionary mode, a faithful reactionary mode, at all times. That's for folks who want to help others with depression. Now, for those again who have the depression issues, um, it's not that you're lesser of a Christian. Um, you are one of God's people, whom He has saved out of darkness and out of death. Um, and having said that, I would then encourage you to do a little inward reflection and ask yourself if some of the reason why the damage that you've been dealt may not be because you have a wound that you're not really attending to. Just consider that. I'm saying that as much tenderness and love as I possibly can. I'm not saying that you're depressed and it's your fault. I'm just saying that we can sometimes be, a lot of times, we just end up in a bad place. Just sometimes it just happens. But we can make our bad situation worse if we don't do anything about it. It's kind of like me when I got my flat tire yesterday. I pulled over to the shoulder to let somebody pass me by because I was out there. I was out there in the hill country, and I was letting somebody pass me by because I'm a speed limit guy, and most of the folks out here aren't. So this person just wanted to go, and so I pulled over to the shoulder and let them go past me, and I ran over something that just sliced my rear passenger side tire. Sliced it, and tire was gone. But I was still out there, kind of like in the middle of nowhere for a little bit, and then so I drove like 15 miles on a flat tire, all the way up until I got to Bandera, and I pulled over, and then I changed my tire, put my spare on, which is still on there right now. But it's kind of like that flat tire. If I, it wasn't my fault that I got in that situation. That flat tire, just boom, there it is, and at that point I have a choice. I can either just let the flat tire just go and just continue driving and just, I don't know, maybe tape it up a little bit, put some tape around it, and then but that's not going to fix it. You're going to have to tend it. You got to do something about it. So it wasn't my fault that I got the flat tire, but I can make a bad situation worse if I don't do anything about it. And so that's kind of, I think it's a way you can look at it as being someone who's struggling with depression. Depression isn't always, sometimes depression is self-induced. It is a result of me not doing something I should do. But it's not always the case. Again, this is why you need to do some inward reflection and just really seriously ask yourself, is it self-induced? Is it something that I'm causing completely? Or is it external to me? It's something that's happened to me, that kind of thing. So you ask those kinds of questions and ask them genuinely, and then that helps you figure out how to deal with it. But in either way, if you don't really do anything about it, if you're not trying to find some, using God's in a sense, falling on the grace of God, I'm going off on this stuff again, but we can pray, and it's good to pray for God to, God give me strength, God give me strength, God give me strength. But it's kind of like I think we often misunderstand when we ask God to give me strength and we're praying. See, I think one of the things we do is we go, God, give me strength because I can't do it. And, we're right when we say that. But then we go, all right, so I'm just going to wait for him to give me the strength. I'm just going to sit here and wait. Meanwhile, you're suffering under some serious sin or something like that. Well, have you considered that maybe the quote-unquote strength that you're asking for God is the strength to recognize the strength to recognize that you're powerless to do this, and that in doing so you go, like what I'm about to do. I'm about to be done with these things. This thing's causes me so much problems. Causes me problems at work. It causes me problems in my personal life too. But especially at work, I got in some trouble yesterday at work because I was trying to find, something that was going to last me a while, so that I wouldn't have to switch out, like a podcast or something. That would go for like 2 hours. That way I wouldn't have to worry about switching out another thing again, like another podcast or a song or whatever. And I ended up sitting there for way longer than I should have, and I got in trouble for that. And I was obviously, I always get mad at first and like, gosh, dang it. But then I kind of start to calm down and I go, I messed up, I screwed up. And I've been struggling with this for so long, and I keep getting in trouble for it. And I'm at the point where I'm just like, I can't trust myself with this. I can sit here and I can tell myself, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. I always say that. I always say I'm going to do much better next time, and I never do. Eventually, I just roll back down into the sin. So what if leaning on the grace of God means, some of that means giving something up? And I think we don't want to go that way. This is where this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you go, am I really willing to do what God asks me? Or am I not? Am I just kind of playing footsies with it? Am I just kind of, kind of speaking on two sides of your mouth, kind of like that? Lord, help me with my constant distractions on my handheld computer. I started thinking, I was like, maybe computers in our hands, it just was a bad idea in the long run. Maybe it really was. Maybe computers were not meant to be so mobile. But anyways, Lord, help me with the social media and the internet and these all the disgusting things you can find on the internet. Help me deal with these things like that. And then maybe the Holy Spirit's telling you, well, you may have to get rid of that phone. And you go, no, anything but that. Whoa. It's like, hold up. Kind of thing like that. And if we're doing things like that, and again, this is where you got to do the self-reflection. You got to be seriously. I have to be seriously asking myself, am I half-hearted in my prayers for God's help? And that's something that we have to think about seriously. Because I'm about to. There's a cell phone plan that my mom keeps telling me about that I need to do because everything's cheap right now because all the what's going on in the economy. So I'm like, I should switch to that, and while I'm doing that, get myself a stinking flip phone from like the 2000s, like early 2000s or something like that, because that's old software. I can't be on the internet with one of those like I can with this thing. And on social media constantly. That'd be a good idea for me. I'm really seriously considering doing that. So I think I might have to do that. But anyways, let's consider these things, guys. And again, like I said, I hope this is helpful to both parties. The party that wants to help somebody who's in depression and the party that is suffering depression. Soli Deo Gloria, guys. God bless. I'll talk to you later.